Welcome to Illustrated Beards, brought to you by the Fantasy Shop, best in comics and games since 1981. I am Jason. My co-host for the evening is Bruce Smith. He's one of my regulars in here, and as I always say, an all-around cool guy.
Thank you. I appreciate being here tonight.
We have chosen some excellent comics and an older trade for our reviews this week. Superior Spider-Man 25.
Justice League of America, part of the ongoing Forever Evil series.
The Justice League Volume 1 trade, which pretty much shaped the entirety of New 52. So we'll talk about that here shortly.
Justice League of America, there are a couple really good things I find in this book. First, the evolution of Stargirl. Going from this little delicate flower that they've all tried to protect in the past to coming out and evolving into the true hero that she was before the New 52 began. And she carries a large part of this book.
What they've done here with Forever Evil, she's definitely coming to her own. She has showed us that she's just as powerful and just as much of a hero as some of the characters like Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman that we've come to know and love for sure.
Martian Manhunter says we've underestimated her.
Yeah.
When now we know she can come out and help us out. Another part of the book that was very interesting and kind of a surprise was the appearance of Despero. He's manipulating the situation as he can do with his hallucinations, and I thought that was a good way to bring out. Here he is. You can tell from the book that Martian Manhunter is not at full strength because he can't sense him.
The Justice League for Forever Evil has been taken out of the world, so we're having to watch these heroes that are very good in their own right, but always kind of get overshadowed by Superman. They're trying to free them from this prison, and in that state, he was very weakened while trying to do that. And Despero has this ability to manipulate your mind and create these very realistic hallucinations. And so, he's keeping them in this superhero loop, I guess, would be where they have to stop and save people.
I think I like exactly what you said about these are outstanding superheroes, but they've always been overshadowed by the big three.
Right.
In this series, it's B superheroes are carrying the day to save the rest of the Justice League.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting story. The way they took the main heroes out of the universe has given rise to these, B-list. That's probably the best description, the B team. But they're definitely heroes in their own right. There's an excellent fight in this book between Martian Manhunter, Stargirl, and Clayface. They're in Gotham during the story, and Gotham's overrun. I mean, the villains have taken over Gotham. We've been watching that unfold in the pages of the Arkham War miniseries that's been going on. It's kind of fantastic to see some characters that never have had to deal with these kind of villains now dealing with these villains. We know how Batman fights Clayface. We know how Superman fights Lex Luthor. But it's interesting to see the B team get their time to shine.
That's where the real evolution of Stargirl starts in this book.
Yeah.
The last thing about this book is, where is the Justice League? We know they're imprisoned.
Yeah.
We know by now they're imprisoned in Firestorm's mind.
Yeah, within the Matrix. Yeah, for sure.
We can't find Firestorm.
So it's definitely an excellent book. This is, I think, we're in part 4 or 5 of this Martian Manhunter Stargirl story at this point. But I've got all of them sitting in here in the back issues and some still on the shelf. So if you're interested in checking it out, I highly recommend it. I think Bruce would agree.
Yes.
It's just a fantastic little side story for the Forever Evil stuff.
It develops these two characters more than I've seen them either one developed in a long time.
Even in prior.
And even in the old before 52.
Justice League of America, number 11. Forever Evil continues to be amazing. All right, I have chosen Superior Spider-Man, number 25. You guys know I love this book so much. We recently got announced that at some point in the future, Amazing Spider-Man is coming back, which makes me a little sad. A little bit sad. I don't know if that means we'll see the end of Superior Spider-Man or if they'll continue on with it, but this issue in particular, the conclusion to the Venom story, Darkest Hours. You've never read a Superior Spider-Man book until this one.
This was the very first one I read, and it makes me want to go back and read the others to get to this point.
Right.
Outstanding story.
The big thing about this book that I think is really awesome is we're finally getting the story is finally moving forward with the Goblin stuff that's been going on in the background pretty much the entire time. I mean, we've talked about that before. The Goblin character in this, Carly Cooper, she figured it out. She figured out that something was wrong with Spider-Man, and she even went so far as to figure out that it was Ock that was controlling Peter's brain, which is something no one else in the universe has been able to do, with even the Avengers, who did a full brain scan on him a while back in the comic. But she got kidnapped about 3 or 4 issues ago by the Goblins, and we finally see what they've done to her in this issue. And that was something that was just gruesome. I mean, they've turned her into some kind of goblin-human hybrid.
Earlier on, you and I were talking about it's like a goblin on Joker gas.
Yeah.
They gave her that grin and
they've altered her DNA
Yes.
in a really weird way. But this is something I want to talk about because it's got a lot of implication into who that is underneath the Green Goblin mask. You know, she wants to know who it is. He kind of casually scoffs and says he's Norman Osborn. Now, she then tells him to prove it by taking the mask off, and he refuses, which leads me to believe that that's probably not Norman in there.
And I agree. Norman Osborn has the arrogance to say, okay, you want me to show you? Pull off the mask, see it's me, and put it back on.
Right. I'm inclined to believe that he's using the name of Norman Osborn to carry a little weight. I mean, it's no secret that Norman was the Green Goblin. But it all comes to a head. You know, whoever's in that Green Goblin mask gets in an argument with Roderick Kingsley,
right,
who is the Hobgoblin. And Roderick's kind of a gung-ho, ready-to-fight type of guy. Like, he's a quick-to-anger, character. So he immediately is like, I'm not going to let you destroy all this stuff I've built. And then Norman, or if we're to believe is Norman, pretty much just throws it out there, okay, well, let the war begin.
And Roderick obviously believes that it's Norman because he calls him Osborn.
Yes. This book definitely sets up the Goblin Nation story, which we're understanding should be the final arc of Superior Spider-Man. This issue also has an interesting thing. This is the first time since this book has been out that we've seen New York turn on Spider-Man.
Yes.
There's an interesting moment where the Avengers come in to help him kind of fight off the Venom symbiote. And so this is being broadcast on the news in Times Square, and all the New York, people in Times Square are gathered and they're watching it. And the news team is kind of slamming Spider-Man because of all the problems he's caused, because of the brutality he's brought to the table lately. And finally, we see New Yorkers turn on him. They see those little spider bots, and they just start to smash them. And they're tired of what Spider-Man has become in this. Tony, who's been in space with the Guardians of the Galaxy for a very long time, is finally back. And Tony shows them that all the data and all of the stuff that the tests they ran on Spider-Man have been taken from the S.H.I.E.L.D. database. Well, they were taken by Spider-Man. He figures that out with his extreme paranoia cameras that even the Avengers don't know about. So yeah, you finally see the Avengers understand that something really is wrong, that they really need to do. Their friend, Spider-Man, is in trouble.
And what I liked about that part of the book was a definite Tony Stark moment.
Yeah.
The Avengers have gone through all of these testing. Tony Stark, just as only he could, well, let me look.
Right.
I bet I can find something you didn't.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I mean, pretty much all computers in the S.H.I.E.L.D. database were probably built by Stark Industries.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, he's definitely got loopholes and backdoors and things that other people don't know about. But yeah, it's definitely a good conclusion to the Venom story. Sets up the Goblin story really well, which I can't wait for. Superior Spider-Man 25 from Marvel. Excellent, excellent read. Gonna be sad when it finally goes away, but check it out. It's on the shelf now. The trade we have chosen tonight is Justice League Volume 1 from way back when the New 52 first began, September of 11. But it's still relevant. This book, I mean, literally shaped the world that we are reading and enjoying today.
Yes.
I mean, Justice League of America that we reviewed earlier. This takes place 5 years prior to the launch of the New 52 universe.
Right.
So when all the other books were in this timeline in 2011 when they started, Justice League took place 5 years ago to help us understand why this team came together and what initially had brought them into the same group to fight the same threat. This is one thing I do want to comment on because it's one of my favorite moments. The book opens Green Lantern meeting Batman. Green Lantern's fighting, and Batman gets involved, and, Green Lantern just has this moment where he just says, "Batman, you're real?" At this point, Batman is still an urban myth. This book, you can see here on the cover, it brings together all the Justice League members that we know. You got Batman, Superman, Lantern, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, and Cyborg, which they added to the Justice League roster for this book. This first arc, we get to see the creation of Cyborg, which I thought was a really cool element to the story to get to.
It was a good way to bring him into the group. Yeah. Having always been a Teen Titan or a Titan, to bring him into the Justice League, they had to find a way for him to be created. What's interesting about his origin is he doubts himself.
Yes.
He doesn't have a lot of confidence, and it's strange, of all the people to give him the confidence, it's Batman.
I agree with you. They had to find a good way to allow him to have something that the Justice League needed. And that was the cybernetic part of him, which could look at, cameras all across the world and tap into the protection grids that the military has in place and stuff like that. If you've ever read the old Titan stuff, he looks exactly as you would remember him, with a little bit more flash.
Yes, a little more bling.
Right. So yeah, we understand as we go along in this story that they have chosen the denizens of Apocalypse and Darkseid as their enemy that brings these characters together for the first time, which I think is completely appropriate.
Yes. They had to find someone that would bring the greatest heroes on Earth together at one point.
Right.
That's another part of this story, told as only Jeff Johns can, where he brings what some people would consider B-list hero, Aquaman.
Oh yeah.
And he makes him an A-lister. I also kind of like what they did with Barry Allen, The Flash, where they merged Barry and Wally West personality together. Just the way they developed each of the characters and made them all important, made them all have a little bit of an ego.
Yeah, they definitely all have their own arrogance. I mean, it's worth saying that when Aquaman first makes his appearance, he says, "So who's in charge here?" and just goes, "I vote me."
Right, exactly.
The arrogance of this man who is the king of Atlantis thinks automatically when he comes to land he should be the one in charge.
I'm the king.
Right.
Yep.
But yeah, it moves pretty well. Jim Lee's pencils, I mean, I will say of Jim Lee, I really love the detail he brings to the table. He does have a hard time sometimes with the panel to panel transitions, where you kind of sometimes will turn the page and you don't understand what just happened in between those panels. Why did this guy go from here to here? You feel like you missed a panel sometimes. But that doesn't take anything away from how amazingly detailed his art is and how really, just beautiful his action sequences play out in this story. One point of contention that I have, and I know Bruce agrees with me, there's a moment where they're all trying to understand their motivations and why they're doing this, and Batman makes a decision that the mystery of their identities is something that is a barrier between them.
Right.
So he takes his mask off before Hal Jordan and introduces himself as Bruce Wayne. That is the only sour point in what is really an awesome story, is Batman just wouldn't do that.
Batman, especially at this time, Bruce and Batman are developing together. Batman has not decided at this point who really the mask is. He would not come out and say, "I'm Bruce Wayne."
Right. Yeah. In any form. I don't care. You go to the far past or the far future. That's just not something that he would do.
Exactly.
Ever. One of the things, just before we're done, they set up. I forgot how steeped they were in continuity at this point, because they set up the Trinity War right here. I mean, they have a member of the Secret Society who I guess we can probably assume, knowing what happened in Forever Evil, that's the outsider.
I believe that is the outsider, yes.
So that's just interesting that Jeff Johns, so far ahead of time, I mean, almost 3 years ahead of what he's doing now, knew where he was going.
Right.
That's just, to me, is the measure of a good writer. Going back, this is, of all of the stuff that came out of the New 52 launch, this definitely stands as a shining moment for DC comic continuity, and what DC comic continuity is now.
Right. It sets the standard and sort of launches everything in 52 and makes it an outstanding universe for all of us to read.
Yeah. So yeah, this one's also about to be made into the next DC animated movie.
Yes.
I think that's cool, because they've really done a good job with those movies. But Justice League Volume 1, obviously I have it here in the store. I'm holding it in my hand. They're all the trades from the beginning are still readily available. So yeah, I mean, check it out. If you're looking for a place to start, this is definitely one that I highly recommend starting with.
Yeah, this would be if you want to know really how that universe kicked off. This is a must read.
this brings us to the end. One thing I do want to mention, we put these videos up on YouTube. We tend to choose what we're reviewing, but if you're watching out there and you ever wanted to see a specific trade or a specific comic or graphic novel reviewed here on the show, definitely leave it in the comments below and we'll see what we can do for you. So thanks again for sitting in and listening to us talk about these nerdy things that we love. I'd like to thank Bruce for sitting in and talking to me as well, and we will see you next week.